Hey, we've enjoyed Claire Dunn, we've enjoyed Cassidy Pope, and now it's time for the hairy-legged performers this afternoon. We're going to start with this handsome man, MCA recording artist David Nail. Without sounding like a girly kind of stuff, you really smell good.
Thank you very much. It's just your local shower here. You know, I spent a little extra time with the soap, I guess, but it's just the Indiana water, I guess.
Oh, really? He smells good. Two things I think of when I think of David Nail, one of which is the St. Louis Cardinals. Your team won 100 games this year and then went home.
They did, but as long as those Cubs didn't win, you know, it was a good year. So, you know, I know the Cubs are going to be really good for about the next decade, so I was really nervous about them winning this early on with the young kids that they have. So, you know, as a Cardinal fan, I was actually in Chicago the night that they beat Pittsburgh to go to the next round.
Wow!
And I was the one guy in the bar that was just kind of sitting there like, and everybody was walking by like, "Why is this guy not excited? Why is this guy not excited? Like this is." They kept saying, "We're making history. We're making history." I was like, "Well, you got about 8 more games you got to win," but. Like I said, they're going to be really good for about the next decade. So, yeah, I was glad they didn't start it too soon.
Did you get to go home to many of the Cardinal games?
This
Not
year,
that that's home, but I mean.
This year I actually have been to more baseball games than I've ever been before. From Boston to L.A., it just seemed like on the road we were in the perfect places at the perfect times, and it just normally I have to kind of manipulate that in my favor, but it just all kind of worked out this year. And but I did get to go to a couple of Cardinal games early in the season, and I was 1-1. So I'm always nervous that when I go there, they're never going to invite me back. But
are you superstitious?
Extremely superstitious. I think I watched the first 2 games of the playoff series against the Cubs, and after we lost the second game, I figured it was because I was watching it. So I tried not watching the next 3, and unfortunately they lost them all. But yeah, I'm very superstitious. I mean, in every facet of my life. I mean, before a show, everything has to be the same, and which can be kind of odd when you have a show. Last night I think we played at 10 o'clock, and today at 2:30, so you're kind of trying to set that routine up a little earlier than normal. Plus, you got all this football on the television.
Yeah.
So.
What is like your normal routine? The second thing I think of when I think of David Nail is the voice. You have such a powerful voice. Is there like a warm-up procedure?
We'll see how powerful it is here at 2:30 in the afternoon. My sound guy was yelling at me earlier about not really singing as full as possible. And I said, "Man, I woke up 5 minutes ago, and you want me to sing these songs like my life depended on it? It's just not going to happen." But I appreciate that first and foremost. And like I said, we'll see. You never know what it's going to. The voice is a muscle, so just like an athlete, you never know exactly how you're going to perform from day to day. You know, I'm just going to go up there and close my eyes and hope that it comes out prettier than. Pretty more than it, I guess, the alternative.
It always has. Every time I've seen you, 9 charted singles, 3 top 10s, and that number 1, "Let It Rain." Do you ever take time sometimes to pause and go, you know, life is pretty good for me right now?
Yeah, you know, my philosophy has always been, you know, I hope that we have a good enough year this year to have a next year. And I've been in Nashville, this pains me to say, but 16 years, almost half my life. And, you know, there's been definitely some years where, you know, getting close to the end of the year, you were kind of wondering if things were going to work out for you. But I've always, you know, sometimes kind of got by the skin of my teeth, but been very, very blessed and very humbled that I've been able to stay in the game this long. And, you know, I think more than anything, any success that I've ever had is I've never really stopped to kind of enjoy it probably as much as I should have. I've just always kind of, maybe it's the athletic side of me, but I've just always kind of tried to keep my head down and keep moving forward and hope things keep moving in the right direction. And maybe someday in the future, you know, when things start to kind of slow down, I'll sit back and relax and kind of rest in my laurels. But right now,
help your mother-in-law sell cosmetics.
Yeah, exactly.
Skin care products.
That's my plan B. People ask me all the time, "What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?" And I've never said this before, but maybe that's what I'll do, is sell cosmetics. You know, I've always wanted one of those pink Mary Kay Cadillacs.
Nights on Fire is another one of those powerful David Nail songs. What's the story behind that song?
You know, I think it's a subject matter that's been talked about and sang about several times, but I just loved Jonathan Singleton's one of the writers on it, and he's written several songs with me and for me. Red Light, we wrote Let It Rain together. I think he wrote 3 songs on the new record. So I've just always had a lot of luck with his stuff, and I just love their take on it. You know, I'd never really attempted to sing about this type of subject matter, and it was always I was a little nervous when it came time to play it for my folks. You know, even though I'm 36 years old, just my parents were like, well, what's the new song going to be like on the radio? And I was like, well, you know, I'd really like to play it for you, but I don't know exactly if it's PG-13. So there's no real secret about what it is about, but there's just something. I'm a sucker for those young, you know, you're innocent, you're kind of up to no good. I think, you know, more so with this song than maybe some of the others is this particular guy, you know, he's trying to be good. He's trying to really be good, but you know, the night's on fire, and she really has everything to do with it, and so he's kind of just trying to stay up to her speed.
Now, what else do we have to look forward to on this new CD, Fighter? That'll be coming out real soon.
You know, I like to say it's a continuation of the I'm a Fire record. You know, the I'm a Fire record was kind of a big change for me musically, sonically, subject matter. It was a lot more positive, a lot more upbeat. And I think that this record's the same thing. You know, I joke and tell people that this is kind of my love-making record because it seems like every song kind of references it in some way, shape, or form, which, again, was awkward when you're playing that for your parents for the first time.
I bet.
But, you know, I had never really attempted to go down that road before, and it was something that just kind of presented itself. And once the snowball started rolling down the hill, you know, before we knew it, we had 12 songs that more or less referenced it in some way, shape, or form. So we're excited about it, and we're anxious for people to hear it. I think it's the best record I've made so far. Wrote about half of it, and so we're excited about it.
Well, we're excited to hear it too. Now, Wednesday night, will you be watching the CMAs live and in person, or will you be enjoying it from the comfort of your living room?
You know, we're going to play it by ear. My wife is actually about 8 months pregnant right now.
Oh my goodness! So you might be watching it from the hospital.
So we're going to attempt to be there in person, but you know, when you're that far along, you know, being on your feet in heels is not always the most comfortable thing to be in. So in a really tight dress for that matter. So we'll play it by ear, but you know, we're going to plan on trying to be there for the majority of it. But if we have to go home and turn on the television, you know, at least you get up during the commercials as opposed to when you're there in person and the commercials happening, you just kind of look at each other like, okay, well, what do we do now? You know, where do we go now? Oh, wait, I guess the bar.
Not when you're 8 months pregnant.
Not, yeah, she better not be.
Is it going to be a boy or a girl, or is it none of my business?
It's going to be both.
Twins.
One of each.
That's right. I remember hearing that song.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that?
We bought one and got one free. That's the way I look at it, at least.
So there's going to be some diapers being changed here in 2016.
That's you know, I had a buddy of mine that worked at the record label for a long time that had 4 kids. They were all 2 years apart, and I remember him having a "this is the last bag of diapers" party that I'll ever have to buy, and I was like, man, you know what? That's a great idea. Like, I should probably have just a diaper party. Everybody bring, you know, different levels of diapers. Farther along you get, and so that and baby wipes. We're gonna have plenty of those lying around the house, and we've already I'm a big shoe guy, so I've kind of started, you know, looking at shoes for the smaller shoes that I always wanted as a kid, that I'm trying to kind of start piling up those for when the boy gets, and hopefully my wife's a very little lady, so I'm hoping that, you know, genetically that I can kind of win out in that regard, and hopefully all the shoes that I've accumulated over the years that he can enjoy those later on in life.
Well, some exciting things ahead for David Nail, a new CD and 2 new babies coming. We appreciate you sharing some time with us this afternoon, David.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having us.
You betcha. Dan and Shay, Kip Moore, Darius Rucker still to come. You keep smelling good too, David.
I'm going to try my best. After the show, I assure you I will not.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it.